So welcome, everybody, to Tanked Up, the podcast about video games and beer. I'm one of your hosts, Ben. It's episode 266, and I am here with Aadil.
Hey, it's me.
It is, hey. And she may have just finished her email, but we'll give her a little bit more time just in case she hasn't. Lucy!
Hi, I can't multitask, so I'll say hi and...
I also have to admit that I forgot to start recording the Audacity.
Oh, did
Oh,
I?
no.
Oh, I'm glad I said that out loud.
No, you did.
Did you both? Are you both recording?
I opened
now?
it, and then we were farting about, and then I did my lovely laugh, and I was like, oh shit, I probably peaked the audio, and then I alt tabbed. I'm like, didn't peak shit, didn't hit record.
Perfect. Good. Shall I start again? Do we care that much, or should we just launch
the
in?
editor. I mean, who knows who the editor is?
Hey, mythical being with time on their hands. Hey everyone, we're not going to start again. We're drinking beers. We're talking about video games. I'm Ben. Here's Aadil. Here's Lucy. Hey, it's episode 266. Bam. Let's open some beers, Lucy.
Yeah.
You drinking beers this week?
Yeah. I only have the one because
Okay.
I've got my bottle opener. Because should have one down here. I was gonna go to Cottridge Wines. Finished my work at about 11:30 this morning. I was like,
Impressive.
plenty of time. And then things happened and did more work, and then it somehow became 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that.
So maybe tomorrow. But
That's
the
fair.
only other beer I have is, I think it's still that 15% beer from the Brew York birthday.
Oh, yeah.
ones.
Oh yeah.
And I haven't eaten since breakfast this morning. I don't fancy that.
Oh no.
That's probably a good shout.
Yeah. That being said, I might have a gin with you like later.
Oh, nice. Good. So what are you starting with then, or what are you cracking open?
This is. I'm sure it was a Flanders Red Ale. Sorry. It's called. What is it called? Maybe somebody else should go first. I'm so unprepared.
Love it.
You'll find it. I mean, it's probably all in Belgian then, if it's a Flanders
Yeah.
red ale, but...
I'm trying to find the brewer. Brewery. Oh my god. You spent time in. I'm gonna assume Aadil speaks Flemish, so I'm gonna Google this and then get Aadil to say it before I offend everyone. So someone
no.
else go first.
Alright, we'll crack our beers. Aadil, what have you got?
I've got a Northern Monk Patrons project. It's a collab with Don Zuko and
Nice.
Sandy Kerr. So it is the North Sea Sessions Northern Monk Don Zuko Session IPL, 4.5%. It's got Nelson Sauvin, Chinook, and Centennial as the hops. Yeah. So it's an Indian Pale Lager that is 4.5% and has several hops. We've got, look at this, Surfing. The can is sweaty because boy is this day been humid and hot.
Oh yeah.
It's making the can look way cooler than it is. But yeah, so I figured start a nice little, just hopefully a nice taster. I have to admit, I was at the pub for several beers before this, so throttling back down to a 4.5% sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, good idea. Something to ease you into discussions and stuff. We'll see how it goes, eh? I'm going to crack open a 7% beer. This is an IPA from Whiplash called Breaking Glass, which has got, I'll try and show you the lovely picture, which is kind of a bottle and a mug. It's called Breaking Glass, but it looks like it's a mug that's been smashed instead. But it's got Maris Otter, wheat malt, oat malt, Carapils, Centennial, Idaho 7, and Enigma in it. That is everything. That's
Yeah,
what
I've
I'm
had
gonna-
that one.
Nice.
Have you?
Yeah. I try and get as many Whiplash beers as I can. Whenever I can.
That's
Got
fair.
done. They are fantastic.
This one is from Brewery. To Google pronounce Verhaeghe. And yeah, sorry, the name of the beer was Duchesse de Bourgogne, Duchess of Burgundy. But yeah, 6.2%. Luckily, this is why Untapped comes in handy. And the barcode. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Flanders Red Ale, 6.2%. Don't have to try and read any Flemish or anything.
It's a good idea.
Right.
Yep. 6.2%. It's a 330ml bottle. Where did I get this from? Might have been Honest Brew. So
Okay.
I find it there. But I thought, you know what, I haven't had a Flanders Red Ale in forever. So
Yeah.
Don Zoko's years.
I think it's been a while since I've had anything from Belgium.
I could have just looked at like the bottle cap. Oh yeah, that's the name of the brewery.
Perfect.
Nowadays, like I'm still collecting bottle caps, but nowadays you just expect it to just be just a standard black cap. I guess more in Europe they still print their logos and emblems on the bottle cap, but not as common these days. I mean, bottles aren't as common these days. So.
True. A lot of Belgian stuff's still bottled though.
Yeah. Ooh, very perfumey.
Anyway. Ooh, it looks very dark.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a bit redder.
Yeah, a bit more amber, perhaps, edging on that sort of that brown ambery sort of side. But no, that's super dark, amazing. Aadil, we'll jump to you for your beer.
Yep.
How is it?
This is the beer I am drinking.
Lovely.
It's quite tasty. Light yellow, like a golden honey.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of lacing, thin head. Really nice, sort of crisp citrus with a slight dankness on the back end on the nose. But like really refreshing smelling. Like if there were sun today and not just heat and humidity, this is the kind of like the level of heat and like summeriness that we had today, but maybe with more sunshine. That's what this like nose is evoking.
Yeah, the weather took a turn a bit later. It was just a bit more muggy.
Still is here.
Yeah.
Not raining.
Yeah, like
actually, but yeah.
I played Magic cards with some friends, one of which who just got out of quarantine because he came back. He's come to visit from Spain. So he had the 10-day stuck in a house quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And the walk up was just like, oh, it's raining. Oh, why did I wear a jacket? I'd rather be like just soaked in my t-shirt because it's hot. This sucks.
Yeah.
But the beer is much more bitter, much more of that piney dankiness. Mostly piney. The citrus is like kind of understated, so I think it's actually more of a sweet citrus, but because there's so much bitter going on from the hops, it's feeling more grapefruity. But again, I think that's just because it's like a light citrus with a heavy bitter, not actually a grapefruit taste. So I think that if I really tease it out, the citrus is a little more sweet, a little closer to tangerine. It's just a little more nuanced than the slightly piney and then this like in-your-face bitterness. So yeah, it's mouthfeel light. It leaves you wet, doesn't feel very alcoholic. You could easily drink it more, but there is just this like. So it's an IPL, right? That's what I said?
Yeah.
That's what the can said? Yeah. And I feel like it's an IPL in the same way that IPAs were like maybe 4 years ago, or more, like where the India Pale part is like drying, bittering in your face, Now the actual IPAs we're having like this year are quite light and not really that bittering.
Yeah.
And this is an IPL who's thinking it needs to be like the IPAs of a few years ago.
Sure.
So it's really forcefully bitter. Which, to be honest, isn't bad because it's a lager and there's not as much nuance in the taste. 4.5%. It tastes more like a 6% IPA because of that. Like, hey, I'm bitter, deal with it, sort of thing. Like,
I'm bitter. That's what I should say every time I go into like a workplace.
hey, I'm bitter, deal with it.
Anytime a
Yeah.
meeting starts up, just make that the first thing anyone says in the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So that's the thing. It's like, if you really think about it, it's light. It's a 4.5% lager, but everything else about it is like trying to punch above its weight, and it kind of succeeds. My biggest, I guess, complaint or the detractor is like the IPAs have figured out how to have that balance of bitter and other flavors, and this feels like it's like catching up. So
Right.
there's that sweetness in that slightly tangerine citrus I'm like searching for. It's not there. Like it's mostly just like a slightly like there's just a bit of citrus and then it's just this like dry, slightly piney, bittering. Hey, this is a bitter beer. Like in a way that like yeah, a craft beer seems to have figured out how to do with a little more depth, and this just isn't quite doing that. But again, it's a lager, not an ale, and so like I get that it's a little different. This is a lager you could easily order if you wanted an IPA. I guess is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's doing that really well. It's just when you think about the types of IPAs you might want, this isn't going to satisfy that because IPAs have gotten better. Make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's this so far.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, not completely sold on the IPL
As a concept.
kind of style. Yeah, but
Yeah, I think it's
what you said there would, make me less hesitant to pick that particular beer up. So,
Yeah.
because like
what I said
yeah,
here
you-
is why I don't seek them out.
I mean, but yeah, usually I'm just like, if you're saying it's got that bitterness of it that the IPA has, but which is sadly, we're getting further away from that, at least this year. I'm sure it'll come back full circle where everybody make like, oh, this beer's a 10,000 IBU. Go back to that, but
Just pure grapefruit.
IPL is not a style I'm sold on. I think like black IPA, I like those because it's like best of stout word, best of IPA world. And you'd think a lager and an IPA would be good as well, but it's just
Yeah.
We get so many like more macro lagers, like how Beck's used to be or how San Miguel used to be, which had that dank kind of bitter finish to it. It wasn't massively bitter, but it still has that element to it. It's still a little bit dank, and you have a swig and you think, yeah, this is, it's nice, it's refreshing, but it's also got that little bit of depth to it. I haven't had one of those. I haven't had a San Miguel or Beck's for a long time, so I can't tell you if that's what they're like anymore. But that's at least my memory of them. And I think what you're sort of suggesting is that it does, the beer that you've got is doing the opposite almost. It's not sort of like starting off as a lager and then progressing into an IPA. It's kind of trying to be all the things at all the times.
Yeah, I guess it's a lager that's masquerading as an IPA, but then because of that, the depth of the mask can only be so much, I guess, to abuse the metaphor. Like, it feels very much like this is what IPA can be.
Yeah.
Not like, but like if I reach for an actual IPA, I would get a lot more depth because it's not a mask, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by like it feels like those very forceful IPAs from a few years ago, but that's also why I was like not a big fan of those because like there wasn't the depth, there wasn't the nuance, and this is. But also like IPLs are a fairly new category, and you got to start somewhere, and this isn't bad. Like I don't want people to think I'm saying this is bad. I'm just saying like it's doing the one thing it's doing well, but it's only doing the one thing.
Fair.
Yeah, but as I say, even that is better than I
Better than.
hold most IPLs in regard that I've had
That's
usually.
fair.
So. It's like sour IPAs. Oof. No, man.
We
Still one of the
we
others.
we've got a few viewers. Hey viewers, how you doing? Do you like IPLs? Let us know. Give us a little comment and tell us whether it's something that you've tried before. We'll move on to this Whiplash Breaking Glass IPA. It's nice. It's very, very soft. Getting a lot of orange on it. The nose is barely there. I'm not getting anything at all off of that nose. It's super sort of thin. You don't quite get. It's really, really pale in colour. Didn't have much head whatsoever. I mean, when it poured, it was a bit there, but it just disappeared really, really quickly. But in the flavour, it's actually quite thin. For like a 7% beer, it's quite thin, and you're getting this nice kind of orange squash sort of flavour. It feels a little bit watery. It feels a little bit orangey, but then there is this bitterness, very, very light, but there is a bitterness to back it up as well. It's not as good as the IPA I had from them, not yesterday, day before, I think. I would say, actually, from all the Whiplash beers I've had, this is probably one of the weaker ones that
That's
I've...
exactly what I thought about it as well.
Yeah. Doesn't quite hit. I don't know whether it's the mix of Centennial. The Idaho 7 in there is probably like softening everything just a little bit too much. I would think Centennial would give me a bit more of a bigger, bitter kind of finish on there. But I guess just this combination of hops just makes something a bit too soft, I think, for a 7% IPA. You wouldn't tell it was 7%, apart from maybe just that little hint of bitterness sort of towards the end, which does linger a little bit. I'm still getting that now. But that's about it. There's not very much more to say about it. I don't think you've got anything more to interject with, Lucy, either, if that's sort of how you felt about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was looking at Untapped since I was there. I rated it 3.5, and I usually rate Whiplash beers like, if not 5, like in the high
4 or 5.
Yeah. So yeah, it was disappointing. As you say, I don't think it has that fruitiness and that punchiness that Whiplash beers tend to. Even like the small little micro beers, they always seem to manage to get that flavour across really well.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think just smelling it, that was pretty much the. There's no smoke without fire. I think that was a bit of a clue.
Yeah,
it's gonna go down because a bit disappointing, but
that's fair.
Every other beer we've had from them is like they're one of my favourite brews.
Yeah, absolutely. Same for me.
Britain, so.
Yeah. Cool. We'll move on from this one then. And Lucy, we'll come back. Was it the Duchess of Burgundy? But not in English.
No. In French.
Is it French or Flemish?
Well, they speak everything in Belgium, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Everything.
Yeah, literally everything.
That's probably in Mandarin, isn't it?
Mandarin, yeah. This is really perfumey to the point where it's like I can't stick my nose down there too long. It just smells like nail polish.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's really strong smell. Even it's had a chance to air out as well. It's still really, really pungent. But yeah, I don't like the smell of very perfumey beers anyway. It just puts me off a little. But we'll see what the taste is like. It's a bit redder on my side, but it's a very deep red.
I was just like, I could see a red through a light going through.
But it's a very deep red. It started off okay, and now it's finishing okay. But there's a few seconds in the middle where you're just getting that perfumey, very strong perfumey taste. Let me go back for another sip.
Linger.
You see, what I want to do with this beer is instead of when you're drinking a beer, probably when you're drinking any alcohol or drink, you want to breathe in, just through your nostril as you take a sip, just get all the flavor and the aromas. This one, I almost want to like hold a peg over my nose.
Wow.
Whilst
Okay.
I'm drinking it, because I honestly think that very perfumey smell is putting me off the taste, but the taste in itself isn't that bad. So, just taking a sip without actually breathing it in. Still getting a bit of that perfuminess in the taste, but overall, it's not. It's a very sweet, sour beer.
Mm-hmm.
Very sweet. You're getting like sweetness, like sweet cherries, sweet red berries and currants kind of taste to it. It's got a tiny bit of sourness. I just find it really, really sweet. So even that, I can tell there's sourness in there, but it's kind of drowned out by that sweetness. But yeah, it's got something. It tastes a bit, slightly a bit smoky, like a little bit oaky, like it's been aged in something. I wonder if it has been. It's definitely getting like senses of that.
Nice.
Okay, here's some French. Oh, and here's some English.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
First it's Flemish, then it's French, then it's English. But it says sweet, fruity tasting beer with a pleasant sour oakiness, refreshing aftertaste. So I am definitely getting that oakiness as well. As I said, I think it's just the smell that's putting me off a bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Interesting.
Otherwise, I think it's a bit too sweet as well for me. I think I'd prefer it a bit more sour. But it's a decent beer. It's a decent beer. I just think there's too much getting in the way of that, because you can tell there's a really nice. It's very smooth. It's got that typical, estery, like just those Belgian yeast and malts, and you can tell it's a really well-made beer. It's not gassy. It's very easy. It's very soft. It's very quaffable, but I just think it's a bit sweet, and that smell is taken away a bit. So, but
Fair.
otherwise,
That's fair.
like, glad I picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Glad I could try it.
Nice. Good. It's always good to get out of the comfort zone a little bit every now and again, not just pick up sort of IPAs and stuff and go for something that you're familiar with but that you haven't had before.
I haven't had for a while yet, and I like the style. But yeah, this isn't one of my favourites.
Yeah, it's fair.
But I think that
hits.
perfuminess does go with the style a bit. So I think it's just some of them I can. Yeah, I think some of them I can dumb it better. But this one is a bit too in your face.
Fair.
It's that like nail polishy kind of smell.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Cool. Let's drink these beers then. It sounds like we've all started off a little bit slow this evening with our beers. Haven't
Well,
don't think any of them have been.
He had 4 pints.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Knowing that, I did drop out to the shop. I had banged back a couple of lighter Wiper and True beers. Only 5.5%, 6% beers. But I thought I'd grab a couple to have with me dinner.
Nice.
Just knowing that Aadil was out on it for the afternoon.
I mean, to be fair, I was having like Kokomo weekday
Okay, nice.
level beers. Like I wasn't slamming back the 8% stout or anything.
We're not saying you're tanked up or anything.
That'll
We've
be
seen that, and
after
this
beer
is not
number
it.
2. Yeah. Don't know why I consistently put that on the internet, but that's a thing I do. Hey, prospective employers, this is what I look like drunk.
Yes. Don't worry, they're not looking at this. It's fine.
Look, I'm so analytical. It's great.
Completely. Look,
Imagine how good I am when I'm not drunk.
Exactly. Let's drink these then. let's move on and discuss some games for the week. I've got a few things to chat about. One I might save to next week, very much dependent on, I think as I mentioned to you earlier, Lucy, if you think you will get to the Magnificent Trufflepigs before next week, then we'll chat about it next week, but I can chat about it this week if you don't.
Yeah, because what you said, I'm intrigued now. So you can't leave me hanging till next week.
All right, shall I'll give a little sort of a brief, some brief thoughts about it, and then we can get into it next week if you do manage to get to it. But I did bring up the Steam page, Magnificent Trufflepigs. It is by Thunked, without an E, and AMC Games. So
another AMC game.
Another AMC game, okay. But you say another AMC game. If you go to them on Steam, they've done Airplane Mode, which you played, Aadil, and the Magnificent Trufflepigs. And that's it.
Like I said, another AMC game.
Yeah, but that's it. I thought they, the Airplane Mode was like it says October 2020. So a while back, 9 months ago now, and they haven't had anything else out yet. They haven't published anything else yet. So.
I mean, the Airplane Mode game it theoretically had something to do with some sort of Walking Dead thing, because before it crashed, I noticed a thing in the in-flight magazine or something.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about Walking Dead. I can't remember. It was either like you could play a Walking Dead game on the airplane seat, or there was something in the magazine. And then we were like, I guess this was just all AMC thing.
Right.
So now I have to ask, have you stumbled upon... I don't even know what this game is about. I'm waiting for you to tell me, but I'm just curious before that. Is there a property tie-in that you've bumped into?
I would say...
Or is this a question mark?
I would say no, but there is an item which I think probably does link slightly. So, in the Magnificent Trufflepigs, it's kind of a news game. It's a narrative walking sim. But you are a character called Adam, who has been invited by an ex-girlfriend, Beth, to come and help her to scour this farm for items. And the premise and what you're doing is you have a metal detector. You walk across the field detecting metal, and then you dig it up, and you have conversations with Beth around these different items.
I'm pretty sure Beth was a farm girl in The Walking Dead. So
Beth was in The Walking Dead. Yes, Beth was a character in The Walking Dead. But one of the items that you uncover is a sheriff's badge. Of course, Rick Grimes famously being a sheriff. So is it his badge? Is it not? Probably not, because this is not set in America.
But also, is The Walking Dead still on? Hasn't that been cancelled yet? I don't
No,
know.
it is still going. It's still going. They got a final season coming.
Oh, really? They got to the final.
Yeah, they got one more. They got one more season to make, I think.
Yeah, I jumped off that.
Yeah.
I still haven't read the last comic as well. I don't know what that's about.
Well, they've got a film. Supposedly, there's a film coming as well for The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Anyway, so you essentially are Adam moving around this farm. You have a certain amount of time to uncover different items, and it works through kind of the week. You start off on Monday morning, you think you break for lunch, you have a chat with Beth, you go back in the afternoon and find a few more things. And it's much more narrative based in terms of discovering their kind of relationship, why she's called Adam rather than sort of somebody else, what's going on with her, and lots of things. And it delves into these characters a little bit. But for me, it didn't quite delve into them enough. Okay. There were things I sort of wanted to know. It's written quite well. It's written very conversationally. So what they say is very believable. It's written really, really well. It's just not enough of it. It seems at times a little bit shallow. moving from one conversation kind of to the next, and the leaps that they kind of do in between the two different conversations that they kind of have. It feels like there should have been something else. Hi, Polar Knights, how you doing? The perfect evolution of beards from.
Mine's just growing.
So yeah, it feels a little bit shallow. It's voice acted very, very well, and it's written very, very well. But it's a shallow narrative, and it's also a little bit shallow in the gameplay as well. Moving through a field, discovering these little items, them having a bit of a conversation around it. Like, it's an interesting story backing all of this up. But again...
When you say interesting...
So interesting in why kind of that out there. Why Beth wants to be looking through these fields for a very specific item.
Right.
It just doesn't quite hit, because again, it just that shallowness in moving through those conversations goes from being like, oh hey, this is the thing, and then suddenly being like, brah, and just like, fucking hell, okay, how have we made that leap? Just didn't quite work for me. And it was only I played it for like 2 hours maybe, and finished it.
Okay, yeah, because wouldn't imagine it's that long.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a game about looking for actual truffles.
Being a pig, going around, yeah, completely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought you'd have your own little pig, looking for truffles.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gameplay seems like it could have been, I mean, metal detecting game.
Yeah. Do you know why it's called the Magnificent Trufflepig, outside of the fact that you are like ostensibly going to dig? Is there like something more?
Yeah, there's some story behind that, and Beth kind of uncovers why her and her friends were called the Trufflepigs.
Gotcha.
None of which are there with her. It's Adam rather than her friends, kind of thing. And this is one of the revelations that you kind of get through the at least Beth kind of has. But it's just odd. There's just various things that just jumps too much. So again, not to sort of spoil it too much, but there's something that Beth says which kind of made me think, is this all like, did she make Adam up?
Oh god. Is this a Jacob's Ladder situation?
I mean, it's a point where she was like, she says something to someone else, and I'm like, is she just being rude, or is Adam a figment of her imagination? Like, and there are points between the two of them where they are rude to each other. And I think it was it's just an overlooked bit, I think, again, where there's just not that extra bit of time or kind of context given, where it just makes that jump again and that leap between these kind of conversations. Because there was a point where I'm very much stood in a field as Adam moving around, and suddenly she turns up in her van. So, I mean, you don't see any characters. You never see the characters, all in first person. And you never see Beth as you're walking around as Adam. She's always in another field, and you talk to each other over kind of walkie-talkies.
Very Firewatch.
But I mean, a little bit, yeah.
But
yeah.
Firewatch had those brilliant, actors and that brilliant script just to back that up. And yeah, even though like I don't rate Firewatch's overall story with that much high regard either, so as I say, I think that was very much carried by the performances and by that kind of like that mystery that was always overhanging the game, even though it didn't really turn out to be. I thought they tripped up on the ending there, and tying up the loose ends. But I don't know. This doesn't seem like it. Despite having AMC behind it, and they obviously got access to some really good actors and actresses. Seems like this doesn't, I don't know. Do you think it's more the story is more let down, or do you think the performance? Are the actors doing the best that they can with the script that they were provided?
Beth is absolutely.
Mhm.
I think she's the. I can't remember what her name was.
Elizabeth.
No. The actress, the voice actress.
Wow.
I can't remember what her name was. Lucy Fish or something like that. I seem to remember from the credits. Very briefly saw earlier today.
I mean,
but Adam felt a little bit flat for me, and Adam's played by one of the companions from Doctor Who.
Rory?
Yeah.
I haven't watched Doctor Who in ages.
I haven't
I'm just
seen
gonna
Doctor
assume
Who
it's
for a long
Rory.
time. A bloke, yeah. Younger guy. Well, I say younger guy. Someone our age, roughly.
Arthur DeVille.
Yes,
Doctor
Arthur
Who.
DeVille. Yeah, sounds right. But he felt a little bit flat, like a little bit out of place as well. Beth comes in with this kind of sort of West Yorkshire sort of accent, and it's set in the English countryside and stuff, and she felt like she should be there. Adam felt, because of the accent, felt completely removed. They're the only two people who talk in the entire game, but Beth felt very well done and like part of that space. Whereas Adam felt very much foreign to that. And I can see why maybe they did that. Again, it just doesn't get enough time to explain that as well. So,
Beth is
yeah.
voiced by Lucy Fish of Safe
Yes.
House and Another Eden. Lucy with a I.
There we go. So, yeah, that's kind of, I mean, that's all of my thoughts, really. It'd be interesting to see what you think about it, Lucy, if you do get a
You want me
chance
to play this game now?
I mean,
Yeah.
I might,
You quite sell it to me, man.
yeah, I mean, I probably haven't sold it to anyone, really, have I?
As I said, I think my initial thing would just be like, why am I not just searching for truffles? I should be searching for white truffles, black truffles.
Just wandering
Instead
around the
to,
forest.
Yeah, I could be a truffle dealer, and that's what I want to do in real life. Just forage.
That's
for
what it should be.
truffles.
A game with the name Trufflepigs should be some kind of management simulator where you're getting your
about-
pigs to go out into the woods to bring back as many truffles as possible.
Yes.
100%.
If you're a developer listening to us, please make that game. We'll buy it.
Please make them. Okay. You'll get one sale at least.
Two. I'll get three.
Three?
Done.
Okay.
3?
Done.
That's enough to support a studio. Yeah.
Yep. I'll pay upwards of £7.
Not under.
Might have to be 7 million.
No. Upwards of.
Okay.
Brilliant.
I'll have to gift if you sell it for £3, I'll have to gift a couple. That's fine.
You know what? I
We'll
bet
make
there's
it work.
something on itch that I bet there's something on itch
God.
where it's like
More
searching
than
for
likely.
truffles. I'm gonna look this up.
Have a look.
So you carry on talking
Just
whilst I
just
do that.
search pig on itch, and I mean,
Truffle pig.
yeah, maybe truffle pig
Yeah.
rather than just pig. Yes,
How long do you think you've put into this game?
I can tell you. Da, 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 da. Not there. That's the
Oh,
store
look at that.
page.
Juicy Loose 9 wants this game.
2 hours and 2.4 hours.
2 hours and 2.4 hours.
2.4 hours. I was going to say 2 hours and 4 minutes, but that's not how it works, is it? 2.4 hours.
Do you see yourself doing more now that you've sort of talked about it? Is it gripping enough that you care?
It's not gripping enough that I would care, but I would like to understand the tech a little bit more. I'd like to go, because there's this big field, right? And I only uncovered stuff over half of it, and they're like, let's finish for the day. And then the next day they said, let's move to another field. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't unlock half of this field. You're not very good metal detector people, are you? Leaving half a field kind of uncovered. And I'd be interested to see whether it's a timing thing in terms of the amount of, whether it's the amount of time you've got, or whether you discover 5 things and that's it, whether it's always the same order of things, whether it's, procedural across the map about what you kind of uncover and things like that. So
is,
I'd go back in more just to test it and bash at it a little bit, just to see what's going on.
Ben, the guy who wants to learn more about the video game and how it works, than
Yes.
Ben, the gamer who wants to enjoy the plot.
Very much, yeah.
Well, I mean, which is fine, right? Like that's great. It's grabbed you in a way, but I do think that's a thing about news games, like you were saying, when it's just the narrative, so much is like on the acting, on the writing, the fact that you're kind of saying it's not up to the Firewatch acting standards, and the writing isn't gripping you. It's just sort of hey, there's a mild gameplay loop that isn't just the narrative. That's something I'm interested in. It's a little disappointing just because that's very niche. Like, the average person might not care about figuring out those gameplay mechanics.
Completely.
And if nothing else is gripping you, then that... if I were you, Lucy, I would just let Ben waste another 2.4 hours and tell you about it next week.
I'm only going to go back into it for another 30 minutes. I only need to go back to field 1 to test my theory.
I mean, you at least need to put 0.6 hours in, because then have around 3.
What's 0.6 hours? About 37 and a half minutes, roughly.
No. 0.5 hours is 30 minutes.
Yeah, so 0.6 would be 37 and a half.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, 36.6 recurring minutes. Anyway, who knows?
I found some truffle games on itch.
Okay.
One is called
Excellent.
DK the Truffle Snout. That's actually about a dog.
Not
who's
Donkey Kong.
Searching for truffles, and the other one is called. Hold on. Is it Piggy Poo?
Of course it is.
Piggy Poo, yeah.
Brilliant.
Search for those on it. Both 3D games, searching for
Nice, good.
like a fun romp.
Well, everyone knows now where to go for their actual Trufflepig based games.
And DK Truffle Snout, developers will donate all donations to a local animal shelter. So.
Oh wow! Okay, nice. I like Itch for that. Itch is very good
Such a
at that
wholesome
sort of
place.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's excellent.
It's kind of amazing how, as a free storefront, it just doesn't have the trash. Like, if you... Earlier today, I shared a link, because, obviously we're a site, we get review codes, etc. One of those things is Keymailer. Gives you keys in the mail, but not really. It's just a front end, but that's what it used to do. And I shared this was on the front page of Keymailer, and it was just like a bullshit CG sort of sex game. And you're like, yep. And the description was hilarious. I don't even know what it was called. It was just like, you are dating someone and they treat you like kind of crap, but also good in bed. But you'll go through the plot and you might meet someone who is less good in bed but treats you better, and there's 9 endings and 7 explicit erotic sex scenes. And I was just like, this is the most hilarious description of a video game.
Coming to grips with Christine.
Sorry.
I think she was like the 4th Catherine in the re-release of Catherine.
Well done.
Oh my god! I didn't look at it because I was like, I saw this 3D one with her dead eyes, and I was like, oh, maybe
So
I don't want to do this.
I did the same.
Oh my god!
Yep. I did the same. When Aadil shared the link, I saw this one picture, and I was like, well, this doesn't look very good. I wonder what this is. And I clicked on it, and I saw then some woman leaning forward, and like, why can you slightly see into her top? What's the next?
No, have they,
I see. I get this game now.
Have they rendered pubic hair?
Oh, they definitely have.
Or is it
I mean,
just veins?
I mean, let's be honest. Those developers don't think pubic hair exists.
Look at this. Look at this woman with her poor dead eyes.
I'm totally...
That's actually how she looks in real life, Lucy.
To be honest, the face is terrible. The bodies are actually look like a porn star.
Some very realistic,
Sorry,
very
let's-
realistic
let's just,
penises.
recalibrate. The reason why I brought this up wasn't so we could all look at this thing when the viewer can't.
They don't want to see it.
No, you don't. My point was, those games exist, and like they exist in the review space with free keys, etc. But somehow Itch doesn't say you can't do these things, but because it's like most of it is like, hey, if you want, etc. Like you just don't see this type of game, which I'm not like a prude. I just want to say like these games don't look good. They just look titillating, and like and you just don't see that in an Itch, and I think that's kind of crazy that you don't, because it's the most well-known but free and curated by a corporation like Steam and Epic.
But that's the thing. It's like I because a lot of these, I mean, I don't know. I don't click on the random adverts that come up. Like, are these games?
And you miss out
free,
the curious whatever. Oh god, no! It's like a few quid.
Okay, well that makes sense.
I mean, I think.
I don't
Let
know.
me find it.
Maybe they do subscriptions on games like this. I don't know. I generally don't know. So I'm just saying, what differentiates this from just a random pop-up advert that you see on your favorite adult content site?
Nothing.
Like,
Nothing.
they're just. Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, it's not. I don't even. It must be on Steam, right? So
Please
this is
request the
technically.
key.
This is next
Steam,
Tuesday's
it's
stream
like a
for you,
visual
mate.
Novel, right?
It's a visual novel the way that like porn films are filmed.
I mean, yes. Correct. Coming to Grips with Christine is currently 20% off on Steam. It is £3.19.
You know what? If you're looking for a good time, got a bit of spare change, why not? Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Hmm.
So I normally save this segment for games we played.
Oh no!
Let's do some
review roundup.
roundup.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, one of them's in Italian, so I'll skip it. Another one's in Italian, so I'll skip it. But let's just say Theodore Cotton has 2 hours on record and says, "Awesome game, very creative and fascinating. The image are really good, and the story, it's intoxicating."
It's got some good stamina for 2 hours.
And then Vines23, who has only put an hour in, said, "Given the low price, I went in with low expectations. Instead, I found it to be well done with good artwork and a more realistic grasp of anatomy. No massively ridiculous breasts and a penis that doesn't reach the floor. Now to try to find all of the endings."
I can agree with that. Like, maybe, you know, 3D modeling has just gone, you know, very, very far in the last few years. But I thought, yeah, these if you showed me this, you know, from maybe slight difference, probably a few more beers, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's probably a still from, you know, a video, because they've put a lot of detail into these character models.
Yeah.
To a disturbing extent.
Oh god, these
It's
sorry.
It's a weird one,
I'm
isn't
not
it?
gonna say more. I'm just gonna say, if you go to the Steam page, there are screenshots which
Community
some of them are very
screenshots.
explicit and have so it's basically just like what it looks like is just like a lot of stills of various moments in the plot and then descriptors.
These are the ones that are on Keymail.
But like there are more suggestive things than I thought you could put on Steam.
Oh.
Like one which is Bob jumps up and quickly unzips his pants and bends over his desk and he gets behind her. As he positions his, and I won't continue. There's just like, I didn't think you could put that on the Steam, like, screenshots.
Steam is
But I don't know. I literally don't know how this like area of Steam exists.
Completely. It presents two very interesting conversations, right? The first one in terms of, especially with the Horizon Horizon Forbidden West trailer coming out, and people saying, "Wow, Aloy looks too masculine," blah 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 blah. But it brings up fucking nuts, right? Absolutely nuts. But it brings up that conversation about sort of like realism, about body positivity, about more representation in body shape and things like that within the games that we kind of play. So if you're talking about a game where you've got this kind of, this can be held up as the game which sort of says, hey, we've got all shapes and sizes within our game. It's not just big-breasted women. Conversation number one. But then conversation number two, and we can pick whichever one you like out of these. Conversation number two, there's lots of games that don't get on Steam because they're too much, right? There's that game from that fucking sleazy guy where it's all FMV scenes, the Seducer game, and I mean, fuck that guy, but how to like pick up chicks and that sort of stuff.
But that seemed like he very tongue-in-cheek. It didn't seem like he was being serious. It seemed
I think he's very much being serious.
No, he thinks he's all it, but I thought those games were quite comical in the fact that it's like, isn't it like How to Talk to Women, and like a lot of the answers were absolute joke answers. Where it's like,
but I don't think they're meant to be joke answers, Lucy. I think this is actually how they want you to talk to women.
No, right?
Okay. Well, given the person behind it, then that could go both ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
He may actually believe those things.
But like that game is like not.
I thought
porn.
that was satire. Yeah, but
it's not porn.
Even if,
yes,
even,
you're right.
Even if it wasn't satire, it was just like dating and hiring people to do FMV, like falling for the player nonsense, and it wasn't useful if you were a real person trying to meet women. And if it was satire, it could have been better because we hit people like Ben who doesn't think it's satire. And if it wasn't satire, I don't know what the fuck it's trying to do. But like, at least, but those are all just like, this is probably just not in good taste. While we also have the other area of Steam where coming to grips with Christine which is basically, okay, this is just like CG porn, whether it's like animated scenes or suggested with like descriptions. I don't know. I've not played the game, but like this is a weird gray area, and they call it a visual novel, and they get away with it sometimes, but also a lot of the like Japanese big visual novels get censored by Steam, and so then they sell you a patch from their website to uncensor it. Now I'm super confused because I'm looking at the Steam page with it, and I'm like, that's a penis.
Yep.
That's a penis going into an orifice. Like, I didn't think I would see that on Steam. Now I don't understand why people are in uproar. Like, what are the things that they are saying no to if I'm seeing this? I don't get it.
Like, aren't things like, I don't know, because there has to be like some certification process and everything. Like, you can't just self-publish it and it's just there. I genuinely don't know. I'd love to see the internal document. It's like the checklist of like, is this okay or is that okay? I think as long as it doesn't install malware or, mine for cryptocurrency, it's good.
That's it. That's all they need to do. That other game was called Super Seducer. I mean the title is that's the title, but you can get Super Seducer 3 on a website called gamesplanet.com. It's just over £10, but then they also sell you bonus videos, interview with people for like £3.50 a pop. What's this one? Super Seducer 3 interview with the ladies of Super Seducer Part 3. I mean, like, who? I
hope those women got paid enough.
Well, you'd fucking hope so. I mean, at what point do we get where, I suppose, as we were kind of saying, like, is it because it's FMV, because it's real people and it styles, you know, the first game or Super Seducer kind of styles itself as being this is how you can actually talk to women, and then you get scenes where like, hey, let's not beat around the bush, let's go and fuck. I don't know what this game says, but don't talk to women like that, please. But
I just went on the developer link on Steam for this coming to grips. Just their like the background. It's just this guy unzipping his pants.
Oh
like
God,
that.
it is Drunk Robot Studios. Oh, and their only other game is Leisure Suit Leanna. Hilarious spin-off of Leisure Yacht starring Leanna.
Oh, some other ones down here.
is that like a Leisure Suit Larry ripoff?
Oh God, those are nipples. Yep.
Dominate them all. I don't even know if
I think
It's
this
a
is
clicker, choose your own adventure game. Let's stop. Let's reorient
They
ourselves.
put games out
friends.
at a pace. They put out like 12 games in the last like 9 months.
I mean, yeah.
They're all the same
PS2,
game.
Drunk Robot.
They're all the same game, but they're just
True.
different skins for
They just
characters
changed
and
it.
stuff.
They just put a hat on the woman like Malibu Steve.
I think it's more.
But she's
of
got a
like
hat.
there's, like Leisure Yacht, and then there's like Leisure Building, Leisure
Hotel.
Bar, Leisure Bus, like
Leisure Motel. They just go down in grade constantly. Leisure Bus Stop. Just Leisure
I mean, one of the games
Seafront.
is literally blackjack, but with weird 3D models. But it's blackjack. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
fair.
the boy, were we supposed to be talking about a thing where it was like, isn't it weird that Itch doesn't have this problem, but Steam does?
It brings us round to a very good point about me wanting another beer.
Yep, that's what it definitely does. Yep.
Go
for it.
So I'm going to open another
I
beer.
have a
Aadil, are you
second
opening another
beer.
beer? Yeah.
Shall I open mine first?
Yeah, absolutely.
I might go get a tonic. So I'll be back.
Okay, you grab yourself a gin and tea.
I have
Ooh, no.
Full 5. FLF5 from that's the Full Fathom 5 from North Brewing. It's a coconut and coffee porter at 6.5%. A rich dark porter brewed with specialty malts, toasted coconut, and whole coffee beans from our local roaster, North Star. Balanced sweetness plays against complex coffee flavors in an indulgent, luxurious beer.
Nice.
Barley oats, coconut, coffee, hops, yeast. And it contains barley oats. Thanks. I didn't figure that out from the barley oats.
Did you know that?
The ingredients. But yeah, so 6.5% coconut coffee porter.
Nice.
Yeah. I haven't had one something from North in a while, so was looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, whilst you pour, I will let you know that I am drinking Deya as I walked out one spring morning, a double IPA. The only flavour text says beautifully juicy, yet balanced double IPA with plenty Citra and Strata on the exchanges. What are the exchanges? Who knows? Yeah, 8%. That's everything on here. That's it.
And please recycle.
It definitely does say please recycle. They also have this little QR code which says learn how we're tackling our carbon footprint through the sustainability page on our website. So it just takes you to their website, basically.
Yeah. So I kind of mispoured, but already half the head has disappeared. Let me see if I can. You can see it like it's quite a big bubble head. Like everything's disappearing quite quickly because it's just got these huge bubbles. It's already lost probably half of it, what it was when I started speaking. The nose is slightly sweet. Again, you think honestly desiccated coconut, right?
Yeah.
So a little coconut and a lot of sweetness. And with that underlying tinge of roasted something malt. Look, that head just died. This is really interesting because the coconut is doing the thing that coconut does, kind of like in the background of meals and drinks. It's not the forefront taste, but like when you cook with coconut oil or you add desiccated coconut to baking, it's adding like a slight sweetness and like a creaminess.
Yeah.
That's decidedly coconut. That's what this is doing here, and it's unmistakable. So it's like it's not on the back. It's super in the background. It's like medium. It's definitely there, but it's still doing. It's on the main taste.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then underneath that is this maltiness that is lightly coffee, lightly roasted, but kind of mostly just not quite biscuity, but just sort of grainy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
And so you get this really interesting balanced beer where it's very rounded, it's very it's got this roasted coconutty forefront, but again, it's not like in your face, and it's that fades away, and again you get this like roasted note at the back as well, with a bit of sweetness. It's just like I don't know what I'm missing here. There's like a term I want to use, and I can't quite place it.
Okay.
It's incredibly easy to drink. There's a sweetness. So the sweetness is very much in the fore in the middle taste. And then by the end, it's more of the roastedness, and the coconut is doing more of like a creamy. Basically, I think the coconut's like swapping from, in the beginning, it's giving a bit of a sweetness, and by the end, it's giving a creaminess. And throughout, you've got this like low-level roasted maltiness that like is slightly coffee-ish. But by the end, because we've moved from sweet, which is like complementary to the coffee, to creamy, which is kind of like offsetting the coffee, it just feels like that sort of those coffee notes are in flux, but actually they're doing the same thing. It's just when they're being paired with sweet at the beginning, you're like, right, sweet and coffee. And by the end, you're like, the creaminess is kind of dulling the coffee. It's making, so it's kind of, it's a very drinkable. I can't tell it's 6%. But it's. I actually think the coconut is doing multiple things and doing it really well, because I think the coconut's like what makes the other disparate tastes work. And it's the fact that the coconut can be both sweet and creamy that's allowing the transition, which is really interesting, because I don't think the rest of the beer would be as balanced if it wasn't for the fact that the coconut kind of switches roles.
Sure.
Yeah, it's very, very tasty.
Nice.
And like exceptionally drinkable for a 6.5% porter.
Is it me, or have I just not seen that many North Brewing beers these days?
I haven't seen many either, actually.
Yeah, I think I don't know what's going on, but I also like this was the first in a while, which is why I wanted to drink it on the pod.
Yeah. Well, because they used to be like everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it used to be like a bottle shop staple.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I haven't been to the bottle shop really. It's like online, like just looking.
That counts.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the story behind that is, but yeah, I agree. I see them a lot less at the moment than we did 18 months or so ago. Even maybe start the pandemic sort of thing.
Maybe
a year or so ago.
Doesn't exist anymore. Has anyone been north in the pandemic?
Oh, I don't know.
It may not be there anymore.
That's true. That's very true.
We may just be lying to all of us dumb southerners. we fell for it. Well, still there. No,
anywhere north of Crewe is just gone. It's slowly eroding down. So, Lucy, before I jump into this Deya, how's the gin? What gin are you going for?
It's Haysmiths, which you can get usually at your local Aldi. This is mango and passion fruit one.
Oh,
which is
Hmm.
yeah, possibly my preferred ones out of all the flavored ones that they do, because they do a lot.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how gin descriptors. It's mango-y, it's passion fruity, it's juniper-y.
Hmm.
And that's it.
That's fair. No, yeah, good.
Yeah. I need to work on my gin sommelier terms.
We'll go on a course. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
Kim will come with us as well.
dry.
Mm.
Gin is.
So, this Deya, as I walked out on a spring morning, as I walked out one spring morning, it's kind of as you would expect in the way that it looks and the little bit of head that you get. Nice sort of fruity nose, but very, very soft. It's definitely there, and presents sort of this sort of melon kind of smell to it, which does come through in the flavour as well. It's very dry. This nice melon flavour, but there's just this what's the word I need? Like, it is melon, but it's not quite bitter. It's not quite sour. It's quite dry. It's a little bit more sort of like earthy in sort of what I'm getting for it. There's no bitterness in there at all. It's just got this very dry, very herbally kind of melon flavour to it, which is nice. It's not refreshing in any way in this hot kind of day. It is a little bit kind of heavy in terms of sort of the flavour that it presents to you, and it's a little sort of medium kind of bodied. It's not thick, it's not too much, but the flavour kind of it's almost a bit sort of like oniony, you know, when you get those beers that are a little bit more earthy, that they give you that kind of more vegetable-y kind of flavour to them. It's got that to it as well. I mean, for me, I like my Deya beers a little bit sweeter, because I think they do those very, very well. But this kind of dials that right back and gives me something that's a little bit more vegetable-y. It is melon. It's absolutely unmistakably melon, but it's just
I know what you mean.
removed from that.
Yeah, because I've noticed that they have started to. I mean, they're putting out a lot of different beers nowadays, but they do have that kind of. I think they're effing more it back from like that very juicy tropical IPA that they're known for. I think they're doing, branching out into slightly more bitter territory, but as you say, it's not quite that bitterness. It's got a different feel to it, which is hard to put into words. So I know exactly what you're on about, but. Yeah, I like my beers, my Deya beers. Just give me all the juice and the sweetness and the fruit. Like Big Hot Pillow, like that's one of my favorites from recently, and it's just a big, bold beer in terms of its fruitiness and just how it's sweet without being too sweet. You can taste that alcohol and that sweetness from the alcohol, but Ooh. Oh, Deya.
Yeah, I mean, this does mask the 8% quite well. You're not getting much from that sort of alcohol at all, but that's kind of it. It's those flavors are it really. It doesn't sort of flow through anything. It is just this kind of slightly vegetable level melon that I'm kind of getting, this oniony sort of very, very ripe melon. Kind of coming through.
Well, you've got your 5 a day there. So.
Yeah, just in this one can. I'm done. I don't need to eat anything at all for the rest of the day. Perfect. Let's jump back into games then, while we sup at the drinks that we have. Either of you have games to kind of discuss? I think from just our Discord chat, Aadil, you played a game on stream yesterday, and I think Lucy, you had played it previously.
Yeah, I finished it. Yeah. So I'll jump into that conversation. I don't really have anything to talk about, so
sure,
you lot can tweet away.
So I played game. What
The
was
Wild at
game
Heart.
called? Thank you. The
Not
Wild at
not the
Heart.
film, the game. Yeah.
I did. Yes, it's a humble game
Humble
published.
published. Yeah. Mhm.
But it's on Games Pass for PC, and I
Okay.
missed when you said that you had played it. I think.
Yeah, because I briefly spoke about it. Like it was just in passing at the end of the podcast last
Yes.
week.
Yeah,
so,
and I when Ben mentioned, I'm like, oh right, Lucy did say it, but I actually literally had some tech problems, and the game I was going to play was on Switch, and I couldn't record the Switch properly. So I just looked on Game Pass, and I was like, oh, this seems cute. And I really liked it. So The Wild at Heart is a what?
A Pikmin.
Sorry?
Pikmin.
Yes.
Pikmin.
So it's like a it's a
Call it a
adventure
adventure game.
puzzle game.
Yeah.
But the main way to solve puzzles is the fact that you gather these spritelings that you can either you can throw at enemies, obstacles, etc., and you gain more of them as you go, and they're basically invincible, and they can break things down to get you resources, and that's the game mechanic is basically solve puzzles with the number of these things you have.
Yeah.
Roughly. But the real gem of this game is the art style and the storytelling. The art style is very hand-drawn aesthetic. It's
Beautiful.
yeah, it's just beautiful.
So
I
detailed as
stopped.
well.
Sorry?
So detailed as well.
Yeah, so I stopped in the middle of the stream, for example, to be like, hey, we've walked in a new area, and there's we're in a forest, and there's cliffs, and there's so much drawn detail in the lines. It's just line drawing, but evoking striations in the geology.
Yes.
It's that simple, but that crisp that you're like, yes, this looks like a cliff, and it's just a few lines because the whole world is just drawn really well. You've got a few teeth missing. You've got a jean jacket and a red hoodie. It's the second adventure game of me playing a dude in a red hoodie in the past month.
Yeah.
It turns out that's a thing. But it just felt really nice, aesthetically.
Yeah.
And most of the interaction was very fluid. I think ironically, the one thing that felt really clunky was on a gamepad. You hit a button, and then you can if you've got one of your spritelings, your Pikmin, next to you, you can throw them, and I felt like the one thing I complained to hand was aiming them was really clunky. It felt more like you move the stick and it's a third of the map, a third, it just felt like chunks of the map moving versus a fluid aim. And you have this dotted line and then a landing point, so it feels like the game is trying to say you can have some nuance to throw this thing to get it where you want, but actually the little target that has this dotted line sort of parabola going to it moves really chunkily. And then also the game itself is I threw you near a trash bag, and you will kick the trash bag away and get I'll get gears, which is one of the currencies. But if I throw you sort of a little bit away from the trash bag, such that it's the only thing around you, you're just gonna land there and stop. And that was the one complaint I had. The game was the hitboxes so the throwing itself felt more truncated than it needed to be, and also if you didn't quite get things close enough, not only would you throw the thing and it wouldn't do the thing, but it would just calmly sit there waiting for you to pick it up again. But if you didn't notice, that you threw a thing that didn't immediately start doing a task, because if it does the task, it then finishes the task and auto returns to you.
Right.
But if you throw it to nowhere, it just stands there, and then you're I have 15 dudes, and I've thrown a bunch around, and then suddenly it's you have 14 dudes. I'm like, Where's my 15th? Oh, I've got to go like find the guy that I missed through a bit ago, and like it sounds kind of trivial, but it sucks. It sucks
Yeah.
because, and they have ways of like resetting and getting things back, but it sucks because you can easily throw two or three guys at an obstacle, and then like you've moved your stick a little bit, and that fourth guy is gonna go somewhere you don't notice, and you don't even see him wander off, and then
Mhm.
it's only when you're starting to be like, okay, let's regroup, and you're like, oh, I'm missing someone.
Does
And
it-
the only way to get them back is to kind of vacuum them up or run through them.
So,
I'll,
cool. Sorry.
I'll say that, yeah, I can imagine, like, on mouse and keyboard, that aiming probably be better. I did find it a bit like, okay, I'm just, wherever I aim, it's gonna go there. This is a bit hectic. There's like 60 spritelings on the screen.
Yeah.
I think at the start of the game that probably feels a bit more damning, because it's like you have less I almost call them Pikmin,
it's fine.
spritelings to manage. So it's like, oh, when one of my ice dudes goes missing, I only have so many. It does detract from the experience, but as you get more of them, and as you realize, like, oh, these pods that they can break open and get new eggs, so to speak, to hatch
Right.
more of them. They always respawn. You're only, within so much of a distance from your camp, because it has like a day-night cycle, and you have to, have all your spritelings back at night.
Yeah.
Preferably to then go to sleep, wake up in the morning because there's monsters out at night. You can craft items, which I think is one of my biggest, negatives with the game. It's like, it doesn't really need to be a crafting system. I get it, it adds to the experience, and it's like, once you craft something, the recipe's always
recipe,
there,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, it's like, just think, not every game has to have crafting, but this is fine. It's not too arduous. It's like, craft things in a second, and there's so many materials everywhere. You usually end up with surplus materials, but you can craft
It's very
items that
forgiving
actually,
that way.
yeah, you can craft items that recall all your Pikmin that are out in the world. So I'd usually craft quite a few of those. It's like, oh, okay, you're gonna go to bed. There's still 17 Pikmin out there, and it's like,
Right.
they probably got lost from exactly what you were saying. Like, I threw them. They just sat there quietly, waiting for me to come back, and I never did. I just recalled them all at once, and it's like, so there are ways, maybe not. I think the developers did a good job at accounting for those kind of like gameplay things. I feel like there's a lot of mechanics that are not an apology for what they've done, but like knowing that there is a lot going on, especially for like an indie team, and it's like you have all these different spritelings going about, and it's like, I think it's a very complex game technically. I think they built in enough to make sure it is like, okay, I didn't soft lock the game at this point because
Right.
I lost all my Pikmin or whatever. So
So
I think in enough ways to counteract those slightly dodgy mechanics.
yeah, I was going to ask. So with the idea that you've thrown one of these sprites or spritelings, Pikmin things, and it pops up saying you've only got 14 of 15, and then there's items that can recall them back, and there's a day and night cycle. You don't want to leave them out. Is there a disadvantage to not having all of your sprites back?
Things take longer. It takes them, in numbers that they can bash a dustbin in like
Seconds.
less time, and it's like,
Right.
when you have a day-night cycle, that's the thing. But it doesn't seem like I think in like actual Pikmin, it's like the day-night cycle has more. There's more stakes in it. There's more.
Yeah.
This year on a time where you can play this game from now till the end of time, and there won't be a ticking, time clock or anything like that. It's not like Dead Rising or something.
Yeah.
So I felt that the day-night cycle was a bit superfluous. As I say, I like that they did all these things. I like that they threw all these mechanics in, and I think it works overall. But you do start to look, it's like, did they need this? Did they need that? Possibly not. it could have just been a straightforward adventure game where you're just going through the game and, you know,
I mean,
carefree, which it is. So
Sure.
yeah,
I was
it's
gonna say
a bit weird that way.
the thing that threw me off on those types of sort of capping of like being able to do things is like most of the game is what I commented a bunch on stream was like, this is very family friendly. Like, there's so much extra shit to pick up, such that like I said, family friendly, and then immediately said a thing that now we can't share it as a review that's family friendly. But like even the first hour or so, like the things that you can do, you get more items than you need to get through. It's very forgiving. If you miss things, it's fine, and I think that's exactly what the game is aiming for. It just is that's why I was like confused by this extra layer of complexity, because it seems like the rest of the game is like, hey, if you want to min max this, yeah, you can. Like you can make, like, you will get 15 out of 15 well before you even need them. You'll figure out how to, upgrade in this way. You'll get through the plot very easily. But also, if you're just playing this game, we're giving you enough tether that you will figure it out. That's how I felt in the first 2 hours of the game, which is basically what I played until my internet crashed.
Yeah.
Which sucked because I wanted to like keep going. And I really liked that, but what you seem to be saying is there's some of that is a little too forceful.
I'd say it's
Maybe?
superfluous. I'd say it's superfluous. I'd say
Oh.
I'm not mad that those mechanics are there, but when you really think about it, they probably didn't need to be there. But
Right.
even so, they don't really detract from the experience too much, because the developers found ways of making sure that they're not a detraction, which is
Right.
good. So,
I see.
so it's like,
Yeah.
it's like it's a very odd math puzzle when you add two, but you take two away, and it's like you're still at the same point. It's like, did you really need to add two and then take
Right.
two away? It's like, did they need these? Probably not. But I'm not mad that they're there. You know, I think it's. I'm more impressed by this game just from like technically, like the look of it. The music's fantastic.
Oh, it's
Like
yeah.
the puzzles are really good. Because you get like a second playable character. And a lot of I don't know if you're there yet, Aadil, but you get a second playable character.
Yeah,
and
I'm not a Kirby. I'm assuming it's the second
Yeah.
playable character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when things really open up and the puzzles get really more interesting, because she has a different ability to, what's the name of the
Wait.
other character? Yeah.
Wait. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. So yeah, it's about picking between them two, like throwing these spritlings to the second playable character, and like sort of divvying up the team. So it's like, okay, I need like 12 of these spritlings here in order to, with the ice ability, whereas I need fire ones here, I need a mix here. So it gets really interesting the more it opens up.
Yeah.
But I think once you have that second playable character and more spritlings, the other systems around it, they seem to like be surplus to requirements, and that's what it's like.
Right. I
But
see. Okay.
overall, yeah, I
So
really enjoyed it.
So you finished it?
Yeah, I spent probably longer than I needed to on it, because I was going through and getting some collectibles. I haven't 100%ed it, and
But like around how long?
I did look at what the developers said. They said it's between 10 and 15 hours usually most
Okay,
players do it. But I've got 21 hours on.
Wow. Okay.
So that's one of the things where it's like, I have no idea how long this game is, because I obviously put the 2 in for the stream, and then it crashed, and so this is one of those games that's like, I'm gonna play more of this, but I had no idea if I was like 10% in or more. So I'm actually really looking forward to it, especially now, like
It's a
that
nice
you're
size.
saying the complexity goes up, and like the puzzles get really good when you get the second character. Obviously, I've not got there
Absolutely,
yet, right?
yeah.
So like I'm obviously in haven't really played the core of the game, so I'm happy to keep going with that. That
Yeah,
sounds excellent.
I think you'll enjoy it. And if you like the story, you said that you like the story where
Yeah.
it's going. I no spoilers, but I think it finishes nicely because
Oh, that's really
when I
good.
started the game, it's like, okay, kind of deadbeat dad. This seems a bit like a trope, and he's got a NES on the floor, and his friend's called Kirby, and I'm like rolling my eyes and just like,
Yeah.
okay, but the further on you go, the more charming that world gets and the characters get, and it's got a nice finish to it. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Nice.
I fully recommend it.
Cool.
It
Good.
was a really good
Excellent.
game.
I
Amazing.
might even try and stream later this week. The rest of more of the game.
Nice.
If you enjoy what you see so far, it gets better. So
Excellent.
Perfect. Perfect. And that was The Wild at Heart, which is on Game Pass, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was so happy to see it was on Game Pass. Because I've been eyeing this game for a while and it didn't disappoint.
Nice.
I had this just this may no longer be an issue because I did see it had a patch recently. But I had this weird bug where it would literally freeze for like 30 seconds, which
Oh,
was
no.
Oh.
annoying. But this is how much I enjoyed the game, where it was like sit through it. But just a hint: if you press the guide button on the Xbox, sometimes it will just come back automatically. But yeah, I had that weird audio bug.
Okay.
But yeah, just kept with it because
Did you?
usually I would wait for a patch, but I was addicted enough. It was like I just want to play through this.
Yeah. Did you play it kind of on day one on release on Game Pass? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this came out a little hot.
Yep.
But I saw the patch, probably a couple 100 megabytes. It's probably fixed now.
Just fixing all those little issues that they've found yet. Perfect. Nice. Oh, good. So Lucy, you said you didn't have much to chat about this week.
I played some Super Bomberman
Classic.
R Online. No, it's not
The
Super
new
Bomberman,
one.
unfortunately. It's the one that was apparently on Stadia. So, the 64 people battle royale Bomberman, which on paper should be fantastic. Any Bomberman should be fantastic. But dear old Hudson Soft, they have not been around for a hot minute. And Bomberman's just never been the same.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I played a few matches, not many. I mean, it takes long enough to get into a match overall, and which is a bad sign. I can't even imagine how dead it was on Stadia. There's probably 2 people playing it.
Well, I mean, only four people have Stadia. So if the other 2 are playing
Yeah.
something else,
Yeah, and this is free to play. The base game, which thank God, because it'd be shocking if they charge people because they do have like a premium package where I think you need that to play with friends in a private match. I
right?
think you can join somebody else's private match without having a premium subscription, but they would obviously have to have one. Yeah, man, it's weird. Like, how hard can it be to make a Bomberman game and make it fun?
I don't know why we haven't had a good one in so long.
No.
It seems, even if honestly, you just add more graphical fidelity and maybe
They've been getting
more
worse in
players,
graphical fidelity over
and
time.
then you make the same thing, and yet people don't somehow.
Like, same thing.
I mean, it's
Just
making
little
the same
show and
thing.
tell.
It's making the same thing and making it cheaper.
Oh,
Hey.
This is probably my most played Bomberman, but I think first one I ever played was on the SNES.
Okay.
yeah,
I
Super
don't think I
Bomberman.
played
Yeah,
the NES ones. Yeah, Super Bomberman. Played a lot of that with cousin, sister, etc. Did the old trick when the youngest of us, it's like we don't have enough We don't have enough ports or anything, so just pretend you've plugged in there and just put on the AI.
Perfect.
Yeah, I love Bomberman, the older ones, but yeah, this is you see, it starts off with just like a normal classic Bomberman, 4-player to a grid, and then like after a couple minutes, instead of like the tiles coming down or just game over immediately or sudden death or whatever, you have to sort of move to another grid because there's like, what's 64 divided by 4? 16? There's like 16 other grids elsewhere. It's sort of got the interface of sort of a Tetris 99 or a
Right.
Pac-Man 99 where you can see the other grids and sort of what's happening on there. But like after 2 minutes, that you're gaining, you're picking up the pickups, like if you can kick the bomb, throw the bomb, multiple bombs, more powerful bombs. But once you pick those up, you move on to like the next screen or something. It's like, okay, everyone who's still alive here, move on to a more condensed grid. It's like, okay, there's going to be more of you on this grid because there's less of you, and the stakes are raised a bit. You can't gain more abilities, which I understand at that point because it's like they don't want everyone to be super OP at that point. But it's just basically, okay, it's time to start killing one another. And in pure Bomberman fashion, it's always your own bomb that you die to anyway.
Yeah.
So
That is Bomberman to a T.
Yeah. So it's got an interesting format, and I like the way they've tried to Tetris 99 it. I just think overall the game's a bit ugly. It takes a bit long to get into a match. It isn't just Tetris 99 and everything, even though you have to pay for that. Nintendo Online as a quote unquote free product, it's really good because Tetris is really good, and it just gets you into a match straight away. And this, I think, a lot of the hang-ups is like it takes a long time to get into a match.
Right.
It's a bit ugly. The user interface is a bit ugly, as well as the graphics a bit ugly. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think Bomberman's always better when you're probably just playing with friends around a
Absolutely
sofa anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I got a Louis once. I think. Yeah. Yes, I did. I think that's more in the late game. I've usually died. I've usually died by my own hands, usually. Before, like, probably not even got into the top half. But yeah, I got far once. So I got my Louis, and you get an extra life in this one. It's like once you die once, it's not over. You respawn, but it's like then you're like flashing. Is it black or red? And it's like, okay, you're the target now. You can see who's basically on the last legs.
And everyone just comes for you.
Yeah, and when you die, like you lose all of your pickups. They just end up on the board for other people to pick up. So whilst you die, you're even more of a disadvantage on your second life, and everyone around you is even more, is even stronger. So it feels like a bit of a balance issue there. Yeah, it's free. It's on Steam. Played it on Xbox.
Is it Super Bomberman R Online?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Super Bomberman R was on Switch.
Yep.
Which was
a few years ago, right?
Switch.
Was it really?
It was like a launch game. It was like the first one I bought because you've got that weird fever with the new console. It's like, okay, let me just buy
whatever is available.
Son of Rome,
yep.
Which is actually a pretty good game. But Super Bomberman R is just tragic in most senses. And Super Bomberman R Online is not the popular thing, sadly.
Oh, a shame.
Yeah, but it was nice seeing the Konami logo. You don't usually see that. Yeah.
Bomberman seems to have been done even more than Sonic, right? He's just been ripped apart, like.
No, I wouldn't say. Nothing's worse than Sonic.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's
like, you know.
it's
maybe
like, but
the
it's
last
it's like Konami are kind of like, hey, we kind of do a few games and stuff. Here's some Bomberman. And
Yeah.
that, Sega don't even do that anymore. They're not even like, yeah, we do games. We just, we kind of publish other people's games. Sonic's just, yeah, don't worry about it. But
Even though
Bomberman
they-
just seems to get touted about a little bit by Konami as like the only thing that they do these days.
and Pairs and they're
Oh, yeah,
making that.
Pairs, yeah.
Am I saying it right? Getso food. They're doing like a roguelike on like a like old arcade game. That's very
Oh,
Castlevania.
okay.
Not Castlevania. I think it only came out in Japan. Let's have a look. But they're basically doing like early access kind of Dead Cells kind of thing.
Right, okay.
Let me put in Konami roguelike.
There was one Skull
Contra.
something, or something Skulls, that came out from Konami not that long ago as well.
Oh yeah.
Last
check that
year,
out.
maybe?
Getsu Fumaden,
Okay.
which is a new roguelike Metroidvania. Looks beautiful. But yeah, they're still making things. They're still trotting things out.
Like just
Some of it's
clinging
bad, but-
on.
Yeah, but it's better. I'd rather like a slight heartbeat than just a flat line. Because they might come back.
You just want them to tick over just that little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, no, I get you. We've had lots of gaming companies that have kind of done that over the last
Capcom
sort
were
of
there
like
for
20
me.
years.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Capcom were in that place.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely,
in
yeah.
the early last generation, where it was just remake after, not even remake, like remasters.
Well, it's got to have been Capcom kind of went through this phase of being like, hey, here's a load of Resident Evil games, here's some Street Fighter stuff, here's a few other things, and then like Resi 6 and Street Fighter 4 came out, and Capcom just seemed to be like, yeah, don't know anymore really,
yeah,
don't know what to do now. And then they
just
released.
not do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then Street Fighter 5 came out, and then Resi 7 came out, which they'd obviously been working on to change that format for a long time. Yeah. I think it just happened that they were like, this team is doing this and this team is doing this, and actually we've just mistimed it so much that we've got this period where we don't have anything big to sort of push out. Monster Hunter has had a big, impact again, and there's suddenly Capcom have turned things around, and they're just here again with lots of big games.
Yeah, and I think just around the start of last generation, anyway, there was that, every publisher and developer was like, do people still want to buy console games? The last console, cycle was very long. Is this the thing? And once we knew that was the case, I think that's when you saw Capcom picking up steam. But not to single them out, but it was god awful times for Capcom for a while. But,
Capcom do the Dead Rising games as well, don't they?
Yes, but that studio got shut down. Was it Capcom Vancouver?
Yes, Vancouver. Yeah. But
which is a real shame.
They didn't. So the last one was Dead Rising 3.
Four.
It was 4, was
I
it?
really enjoyed 3. 4 was.
But was 4 an Xbox One launch game?
No, that was 3.
That was 3, right?
Which
okay.
I put like hundreds of hours into that. I thought that was a really fun game. Dead Rising 4 was the one set at Christmas, and I always just want to go back and play it. I've like started it so many times, I just want to go back and play it. But I think everyone's favourites is like 1 and 2, but I really enjoyed 3.
Yeah.
I think it's because it was in that launch window, nothing else to play. It's like, okay, this is dumb, this is fun, this is...
And I wonder whether Konami are just in that space at the moment. Whether they're just kind of like dithering a little bit, and they're like, oh shit, we lost Kojima. Metal Gear was kind of like our big franchise. Obviously, we've got Pez that we put out all the time, obviously. And they're like, right, what can we do? We own Metal Gear, let's do this. We own Silent Hills, let's not do this. We kind of just aren't in a space to have anything big to kind of put out, and everyone's like, "Oh, Konami, you're just gonna be doing arcadey kind of pachinko-y sort of stuff forever." But I think they might be in that space that Capcom were in a little while ago, where they just don't have anything big, and they're putting out smaller things, and they're trotting out Bomberman and these sorts of things, and it's whether you see them either go the way of Capcom and go, no, we're just gonna wait. The games that we have games in development, and they're going to come out when they come out, or they go the way of Sega, who go, oh shit, we've got some money, let's buy some companies and publish their games. Let's just fund some stuff and get our, sort us out in that sort of way. Rather than us making games, let's publish games instead, and shifting their sort of stance that little bit.
Yeah, possibly. What gave me hope was I read something more about this Getsu Fumaden game, and it sounded like there's been an injection of new blood into the company, and this was done by a team where it's okay, we were fans of the original game, we want to make something new, we're launching it in Steam Early Access, and it's a roguelike, and we just want to, not make the exact same thing that it was then, but take inspiration from that. And there has been rumors where it's okay, I think Konami themselves may have come out and said, we've got stuff, just not ready to show it.
Yes.
Exactly.
I think they'll. I mean, you got to think how well their pachinko machine is doing. Because video games, I mean, they're only getting bigger, so it's to duck out now when you have such a legacy. Yeah. And the people who are buying your games and giving you all that money will be the people with, sad 30-year-olds like us with the nostalgia and the disposable income, hopefully. Yeah. And it's just it'd be kind of weird to pop out now. I could understand why, like Capcom had that lull. I can imagine why someone would get out now. Especially, I think Metal Gear Solid 5 just probably killed them all anyway.
Well, it's interesting that there's always this. It's like the saying, "There's no smoke without fire," isn't there? And Konami may have said some things about that they do have stuff in development, but there's always been this kind of rumor mill around Konami, and then them being this not flogging horse for other companies, but it's always oh yeah, PlayStation are in talks with Konami, or Xbox. Phil went over to Japan to chat to some companies, and it was Konami, because now they don't have Kojima, they can get in there, and all. And there's always these kinds of stories about Phil just got stuck in Japan for a little while. He's like, fuck, I better go and talk to someone, I guess. But
buy an Xbox, just one,
please. I brought loads with me. But there's always that idea that the rumor that Blue Point, who put out Demon's Soul remake at the beginning of the year for PlayStation 5, are making a Metal Gear game. There's the idea that
the one for 360,
Revengeance.
The Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. They did the.
They did. Yes. Yeah. But then there's the idea that Silent Hill is then going to be coming back and is being touted about being an exclusive for a console. Konami are constantly in that rumor mill of being around, and you think, wow, that might not be it, but something is going on. Enough is going on that they're not dead in the water, that they've just given up on games and they've moved into all of these other sectors that they do. And we know from Pairs and all of these other things, they still have their foot in the door with those sorts of things, but they are doing more. Absolutely.
I'd green a Silent Hill so fast. Just think how cheap that game would be to make, and how many sales that would have. You're just making a walking simulator. You don't even have to shoot anything.
Yep.
Say this. It's kind of.
And you'd kind of see, with the resurrection of Capcom over the last few years, and the Resident Evil remakes that they've kind of have, that you think Konami are in a similar sort of space. They kind of rivaled Capcom at one point in, the two kind of, they were the two big sort of Japanese developers with Square Enix perhaps,
Yeah.
and a couple of others that were kind of that
Well,
top tier Japanese developer. Yeah. And you think that they actually rivaled each other in terms of having these horror games that they both kind of put out, having these different sort of franchises to sort of put out there, that they'd be like, no, people do want this. We know Capcom are selling X amount of games on their remakes, and they've put money into this, and they put R&D into a new engine, and they've then built these games around that, and all of this sort of stuff. And you must think like Konami, like, no, we will. Something is on the way.
Make a Amnesia game on that shoestring budget. Put a protagonist called, James Sunderland in it. And, get Kiefer Sutherland to
Don't even change his name. Just call the character Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. He won't get confused then.
It's James Sunderland's brother. And spend all the budget on Kiefer Sutherland. Done.
Exactly. Oh, Konami, we've solved your problem for you. Done.
And then there'll be like something where it's like, oh, James' surname, they messed it up on the birth certificate. His name is actually Sutherland.
That's it. They just misheard. They misheard, and they just wrote it down incorrectly on the birth certificate.
It was Pyramid Head, he did it.
Yeah,
Pyramid Head is James's father.
We'll more than likely find out that there is a game in development, and it's just Norman Reedus holding a fetus, and that's the new Silent Hill game.
Norman Fetus?
Exactly. So it's kind of Death Stranding, it's kind of Silent Hill, but it's neither of those things. It's just an FMV sequence of Norman Reedus holding a fetus.
Yeah.
Done. Someone will buy it.
Indeed,
20p, everyone will buy it.
I mean, I'm still slowly but very, methodically, I guess, getting through Silent Hill 2 on PC. The remake master, or whatever you call it, that the community put out is real good. It's like I launched it when there was like a new update. It's like just updated it straight away. It was like,
nice.
It's great.
Amazing.
Yeah, because I never finished it the first time.
Oh, I don't think I've ever finished a Silent Hill game.
At all?
No.
I haven't played many of them, to be honest. The two on... I never played anything... I don't think I played Silent Hill 3.
No?
I definitely didn't play anything after that.
No, I didn't play anything after 3. Definitely, yeah.
I don't think I ever played 3. God, no memory. There's just like games.
Mate,
that
it was
you play,
so
and it's just
long
like,
ago now.
It's just like, oh yeah, I played that. When you see a video for it, it's like, oh yeah, I played that weird Flintstones game that apparently sells for a lot nowadays.
I mean,
just
none of us
memory.
remember 1996. Who knows what games we actually played?
Brock, the Legend of the Gobos. I don't know.
James Pond 2. I mean, there's so many games, isn't there? Absolutely, that we dabbled with, that you borrowed from your friends, that you got on a demo disc, that you just rented from renting games as well. Demo discs and renting games, but things from a bygone era that you just don't get anymore.
Yeah. I remember there was a period in, like, this is well after the Sega Master System was dead and gone, like the Mega Drive and like Dreamcast was probably out by then as well. Just maybe even sold like a PlayStation game or something, and just give me 20 of these cards in exchange. And it's like, okay, which ones did I play? Which one? I can't. I don't know what I played last week, so...
That's true, and that's the problem, isn't it? How are we ever meant to remember what we played almost 20 years ago when we can't remember what we played last week?
That's why I write down the ones that I finished, but the ones that I played, they're lost to the ether. I don't write those down.
Oh, mate, I can't get access to my that GG app that I was using. It just won't let me log in anymore.
Yeah. Well, You've never played a game before. Then.
I mean,
What?
exactly. What? Who knows what I've played this year so far? I've got no way to even know. It's just thrown it out completely. So yeah, who knows?
Adil owns all the games, but has he played all the games?
When we get to our end of year chat, I'll be like, I don't even know what came out. Don't worry. And Adam's like, well, this came out, this came out, this came out, this came out. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. He goes, don't know whether I played them.
Yep.
I've got no way to know. Steam doesn't tell
guys
me.
are calling me out. I'm a little better now.
No, you are. Absolutely,
You
you
mean a
are.
little better.
Yeah, I don't have Dying Light 2. I only have Dying Light 1 that I haven't played. I'm a little better now.
Well, Dying Light 2's not out yet.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a little.
There's no shame to playing games and never playing them.
Buying games and never playing them.
Look, you did a PhD, mate. So I don't even know how you found time to shower.
Spoiler alert, I didn't.
Should we finish it there for this week and talk about the beers
Yeah.
and the drinks that we have had this evening? Adil, we'll come to you first.
Sure.
There was an
It's
there was an
all
India
tough.
Pale Lager, wasn't there? And then a porter.
Yeah. It was the coconut coffee porter.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be the coconut coffee porter. I liked
Okay.
the balance that it was doing. Basically, what I really liked was that the coconut was starting sweet and ending creamy, which is what coconut can do for like cooking as well as like beers. Like it can either be a little bit of a sweetener or it can be a creamy thing. And actually, in this beer, it was doing both.
Nice.
And I really respect that because that's what kind of made this 6.5% kind of malty forward beer work, was the fact that it was kind of working on both those angles in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, the Donzoko Northern Monk Patrons Project IPL was a lot more one note. Like I think as a Indian Pale Lager, it's interesting because it like definitely the IPA tasting notes. It was more dynamic than your average lager, but like I said, like it's mimicking the really kind of 1-2 note IPAs of 5 years ago. So while I recognize that as a lager, it's very it's more dynamic, it's interesting. It's just like giving me the notes of beers that kind of disappointed me years ago, and so I can't really like. I recognize the
You disappointed me then. You still disappoint me now.
kind of but like I recognize the craft that is involved in making an IPL.
Mm-hmm.
Do these things, but also all it's doing is telling me, right, I'm glad we don't deal with this type of beer on the day to day. Like we've moved past this kind of brute force wall of bitter.
Yeah, and it's weird because you'd think Donzoko of all people who know how to make a really good lager, they'd just make a lager. They wouldn't
Yeah.
bother with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like and the thing is the lagery bits seem really good, but they're just lost in this IP Indian Pale version, and it's just not.
Anus.
Yeah, there we go. I was not gonna say it. I'm glad you did. This is, I think honestly, this is just gonna be our #1 contribution to beer discourse.
Humanity.
Yeah. So like, it sucks because I see what they're trying to do and I like it, but it's just not there. It's like I said, too little, too late. It's like a lager aspiring to be the bygone version of an IPA, which I'm happy we aren't in.
So let me ask you this: if someone just gave you a pint of this, they didn't tell you what style it was, would you still enjoy it though? Because that seemed to be the vibe that I was getting.
Yeah, so I would have it, but I would feel like it's like one of those over. I probably wouldn't have guessed it was a lager versus
Mhm.
an IPA, and I think that's exactly the thing. Is then it's just playing in the IPA leagues and it's not doing it well.
Yeah.
Like it's not giving me enough lager such that I'm like, ah, this is a weird lager, and I want to figure it out. It feels it like, yeah, you give me this, I'm like, oh right, this is one of those like. So the last time I had an IPA that felt like this was like
Mhm.
a grocery store sort of like an Aldi. This is our IPA. We're
Yeah.
just trying to be an IPA, and that's kind of the vibes I was getting from it. Even though it's an IPL, it's not. There's not enough lagery things
Yeah.
in it. You might as well just make an IPA, and then if you do, you should make a much better IPA because this is like
Okay.
not a good IPA. Like that's my problem. It's like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
good lager, but only because it's trying to mimic other things. But then when you look at what it's trying to mimic, it's like, well, why don't I just do that then? And then it all falls apart. Yeah.
That's
so
fair.
That's
Yeah.
That's. I think you've perfectly summed up what I feel about that style of beer.
Yeah.
Good. Perfect. A good point then to jump to the beers that I've had, the Whiplash, which I think we very quickly decided was a little bit sort of underwhelming and didn't give me sort of a huge amount. The Deya, I'm not a fan of this more vegetal sort of flavour. Vegetal
Vegetal?
flavour. This slightly more,
Broccoli.
vegetably. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Like lean into that. I don't like those more kind of like oniony beers or vegetable kind of beers. I don't know why.
Someone had to do it.
I mean, they didn't.
Yes.
No, they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
no one
absolutely
had
right.
to do it.
They didn't have to
Yeah.
do it.
I'm just trying to be nice.
So I'm not going to pick either beer. Sorry.
Oh wow.
Wow. This is unprecedented.
I mean, I don't want either beer now.
Ben says, "Fuck those beers."
I had a Whiplash IPA the other day, which was absolutely fantastic, super soft, full of flavour, really fruity, lovely. I had a Deya the other day, which again
Deya.
was beautiful. These two beers are not good representations of what these breweries can
Yeah,
do.
yeah. I
They
think
don't
it's
sit with
indicative of
what I like.
how much in high regard we have for those breweries. And
Absolutely.
how outstanding their beers usually are. It's like that time when I had the weird beer and I just said, I'm not even talk about this.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah.
Because it was the one time I've had a bad beer from them.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly, and I think it's
That's
really
what I meant.
important. I'm really happy that you. So I'm not happy you had a less than stellar experience, but I'm happy that you're marking it as, wow, this is weird because these breweries normally knock it out of the park, and I don't even have to like second guess myself. Oh,
Yeah.
now I have to, and so I need to point out that this isn't great.
Yep.
But it's not great in the sense of like beers generally. It's like it's not great because like they always win. And
You know
like
the
now
standard.
they finally like let me like they finally not won, and I'm confused by it.
Yes, yeah, very
Is what I'm
much.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
It's the opposite of the IPL where you say it's like they let me down before, they're doing it again. Whereas
Yeah.
with this is like, you lot
They
never
never
let me down. Yeah, so it's like, maybe don't get either of these.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
many more you can get. Yeah. I mean, I felt the exact same way about that breaking glass one. So
Oh really?
yeah, I thought it was middling at best. It was just not the standard I expect from Whiplash. So.
Completely. Yeah. So a bit of an odd week for me this week,
Mm.
considering, well, this week, in the last sort of 3 days, I've had beers from both of these breweries, which have been better. They've stuck a little bit more to what they know, to the flavors that I enjoy that they make. And that's not to say that they shouldn't experiment, absolutely, but sometimes those experiments just don't hit as well as they may do with other people. But for me, neither of these really hit very well at all. But that's not to say don't look for Deya or Whiplash, because they make fantastic beers.
It's like video games sometimes. Yeah,
Absolutely.
A game that you're just not a fan of.
Completely.
Yep.
Completely.
It happens.
It does.
It does.
So, let's finish there for this week. We'll round out.
Yeah, I only had one beer, and you know my thoughts of it. So
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit. Sorry, Lucy.
it's fine. I
Any
can
final
only
thoughts?
I can only pick one winner. And
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what.
You could
Did
pull a
you?
band and be like, "Fuck this,
honest.
no winners."
Did you?
Because brewery vegetal or whatever. It's okay.
Right.
Rewind back.
So no. Lucy.
Disrespect.
Lucy,
the
to
romance
finish out the episode, then.
Yes.
Did you or would you pick another one of those beers, or would you stick on the gin for the evening?
Stick with the gin.
Mm.
I'll pick up another bottle of gin. But then, yeah, this Blanders red ale. Just yeah, I think it was just the very perfumey smell and that following through in the taste, where it was a bit too off-putting for me, a bit too sweet as well.
Yeah.
Not as sour. Yeah, but I mean, if I can seek out other beers from this brewery, like I always will, because they know what they're doing in Belgium. They know what they're doing.
They do, absolutely. I mean, again, with the beers that I've had, there's plenty of other beers from those breweries which are absolutely fantastic. So it's always good to never take a brewery based on one beer.
Oh no, never. And it had that really. You could tell it's a really well made beer. It was just very soft, and it had like, when you think of Christ. I can't remember their name.
I never really think of Christ.
Jesus is the name of Christ. When you think about Christ and you don't remember the name, just think Jesus.
I try not to think about Christ.
We're all heathens here. I mean, we looked at that porn game. Yeah, it's Westmall. What's that?
Oh.
Thingy? Any Trappist beer from the monks. Just that very soft quality. It's like no matter what strength, you can it's just so quaffable and you can chug it back. It definitely had that kind of quality. Just really smooth and easy, but yeah, it's just too much detracting from the overall experience.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Nice. Okay. A weird week for us, I think.
Yeah, actually. I don't know if we've really had maybe abstain, full abstain, and I guess this one? Which is kind of what we did. Like, I didn't realize I could just say, fuck it.
I blame...
None of them. Which is what Ben
You do what you like. Mate.
It's Christine's fault.
She threw it out for all of
I'm
us
happy
with those very realistic boobs and that very realistic penis. It threw us off completely.
Yes, yeah. Well, welcome to Cock Week.
Good. Let's. I'm done. You can get us all in
I really want to know what you title this episode, there, editor boy.
Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, I really hope it's welcome to Cock Week. It doesn't make sense, but
we might get loads of views because everyone's just like, "What the fuck is this?" Okay, cool.
Yeah. Something to do with the wild at heart, but with Christine in it. Mix the wholesome with the...
Let's see what we can... Yeah,
let's not say wholesome anything. Let's just
a wholesome week of cocks. Yes, I'm done. Beers, we've talked about beers. We've talked about games. You can get all of us at Tanked Up Cast on the socials. You can also go to outoflives.net and get us at Out of Lives Network on the socials as well. I am Nova_47. Aadil is at
the Omniarch.
Lucy is
dead.
Not wrong.
9.
Perfect. If you've enjoyed the shit that we talk about, like, rate, review, subscribe, wherever you are, whatever you listen to us or view us on, it really helps. Do those things and come and talk to us about beers and games and realistic cocks. Fucking who knows? Just come and talk to us about shit. You can join us in our Discord.
I don't actually want to be talked about realistic cocks. I mean, I'll entertain it, but like, don't see.
Hey, I found a game. This is the most realistic cock I've ever seen. Hey, check it out. You guys like cocks and games, right? That's it. That's all we're gonna get from now on. Or if you like Konami or don't, you know, come and talk to us about that as well. We can talk about whatever you want in our Discord and join us there, or go to our YouTube channel. Not as Tanked Up, but as Out of Lives, the network that we are part of. That's all the stuff, that's all the things, that's all the beers, that's all the games, that's everything for this week. We've been Tanked Up with Cox. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Christine with a C, not a K.
Oh.
Christine with a C.
www.outoflives.net